Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was throne of the Ghost Emperor and got Harem? Part 1. Huge shout out to Azura435 for this story. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. You ever have one of those days where you just know you should have stayed in bed? Like maybe if you'd faked a cough or broken your ankle falling down the stairs, you could have avoided complete emotional annihilation? Yeah. That was me. Danny Fenton, certified walking disaster and current chocolate-covered embarrassment. The day started the way it always did, with ghosts. Well, ghost talk anyway. My parents are Jack and Maddie Fenton. Think Bill Nye meets Monster Truck Rally. If monster trucks hunted ghosts. Our house is basically a haunted mansion pretending to be a normal one. There's an ectosuction cannon next to our microwave. I've brushed my teeth with toothpaste that may or may not have glowed once. That's the level of normal we're working with. So when I walked into Casper High that morning, the whispers started before I even reached my locker. Did you hear? His dad chased a mailman yesterday. Thought he was a poltergeist. Fenton probably sleeps in an iron box. And then came Dash. Cue dramatic doom music here. Hey Fenton, he boomed across the cafeteria. Catch. Now, if you've ever been in middle school, you know nothing good ever starts with catch. It usually ends with a projectile flying at your face. In this case, a chocolate cream pie. I didn't dodge. I don't even think I could. The thing splattered across my face like a sugary landmine. Boom. Instant humiliation. The worst part? That wasn't even the worst part. The laughter hit next. That big, echoing, cafeteria laughter. The kind that makes you feel 3 inches tall and kind of like crawling into a trash can forever. I stood there, sticky and stunned. My brain short-circuited. I wanted to punch Dash. I wanted to scream, cry, maybe teleport to Mars if that was an option. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. I must have looked like a sad cupcake. Nice shot, Fenton. Dash cackled, tossing high fives like he just won the Super Bowl. I bolted. I didn't even look at Sam or Tucker calling after me. I just needed out. I ran until I ended up in the library. Cold. Quiet. Empty. Except, it wasn't. That's when I heard the voice. What are you going to do? It was calm. Deep. Commanding. The kind of voice that sounded like it belonged on Mount Olympus or a heavy metal album. Not coming from the ceiling of my school library. And then, the library vanished. No joke. 1 second I'm surrounded by books and overdue assignments, and the next, bam! Welcome to the void. Picture a blank canvas the size of infinity. No sky. No floor. Just white. Nothing. I barely had time to freak out before a golden light cut through the emptiness like a stage spotlight. There, on a throne that looked like it had been stolen from a really fancy anime opening, sat him. He looked young and old at the same time. Blonde hair like a burning star. Blue eyes that could probably see through time. And that aura? It was like standing in front of a sun that decided to wear armor. I've had some weird dreams. Like really weird. Once I dreamt my dad turned our fridge into a sentient robot that could only speak in ghost puns. Spoiler alert, it was awful at puns. But this wasn't weird. This was straight-up cosmic horror in anime form. There I was, standing in what looked like IKEA's idea of the afterlife, white void, no furniture, unless you count the throne that looked like it belonged in a museum and was forged by the immortals of Extra. And on that throne? A blonde guy who radiated more main character energy than every superhero I've ever binge-watched combined. Then he opened his mouth. No, this is not a dream. I have called you here inside your mind so that we may talk about the future. So yeah? That's when I started internally screaming. You called me? I said like I was trying out for the role of terrified bystander number 3 in a horror movie. To this place? He nodded, totally calm. Like this was his Tuesday. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. You can call me Naruto, or Master. Okay, that last part? Sent shivers down my spine. Not the cool I'm about to discover my powers kind. No, more like I'm in a cult and no one told me kind. Then he said, I am here to teach and guide you towards a bright future. I blinked. Did I hear that right? Wait, what? Now, if this were a comic book, or one of Tucker's anime binges, I probably would have bowed or glowed with destiny or something. Instead, I blurted out the most logical thing my brain could muster. You're Naruto Uzumaki, the 7th Hokage from the Naruto manga, and you're going to make me a hero? Sign me up, baby. Yeah. That actually came out of my mouth. I may never recover from the cringe. Naruto blinked. I don't know about this manga thing you're talking about, but sometimes the threads of worlds tangle in strange ways. Okay, so maybe he didn't know he was famous in my world. Which, to be fair, might have been a good thing. Nobody needs to find out they're fictional over coffee. So, you're from a ninja world, I said. Did you die and become a ghost or something? He chuckled. No. This is only a small portion of my soul. I visit those with potential, the ones who can save their world. Like you? I looked around the blank space. Right. Because I'm totally qualified. The only thing I've saved lately is Tucker from burning his tongue on hot sauce. Do you not feel honored by this opportunity? He asked gently. Honored? Sure. Terrified? Absolutely. Then, he touched my head. And everything exploded. Not literally. I mean, my brain exploded with visions. Galaxies dying. Ghosts swarming like locusts. Power I couldn't name roaring inside me like a tidal wave. One moment I was Danny Fenton, ghost nerd. The next I could feel what it might be like to be more. More than the punchline. More than the outcast. A hero. I staggered back, breathless. My knees felt like cooked spaghetti. He stood there calmly, like this was all part of some cosmic syllabus. Why me? I whispered. Why not someone who already knows how to fight? Someone braver. Stronger. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Because true strength doesn't come from being born powerful. It comes from choosing to rise, even when you're at your weakest. I blinked. Okay. That was actually kind of awesome. I'll train you, he continued. Prepare you. But the choice is yours, Danny. I didn't know what to say. My brain was still trying to reboot after that mental download. Part of me wanted to run. The other part? The part that sat in the cafeteria with chocolate pudding dripping from his face, wondering why he was such a loser? That part wanted to say yes. Because maybe this was it. The chance to change everything. To be stronger. Smarter. Faster. To matter. But still, he said die like it was a menu option. So yeah? I was tempted. Who wouldn't be? But terrified? Oh, I was absolutely terrified. I would like to file an official complaint with the Multiversal Bureau of No Terrifying Encounters. Because disappearing mid-sentence? That's not mentoring. That's emotional whiplash. 1 second, Naruto Uzumaki, yes, that Naruto, believe it or not, was smiling like a benevolent sun god about to hand me a glow-up. The next? He straight up Thanos snapped himself out of existence. Leaving me in this place. A vast, endless white nothing, like someone forgot to texture reality. No up. No down. No TikTok. Just void. You ever try panicking in slow motion? That's what it felt like. My breath hitched. Naruto? Silence. Hey, master? Nothing. Oh, come on, you can't just leave me here. I turned in a circle, because apparently that's all I could do, and almost tripped over my own feet. Which was impressive, since I wasn't even sure I had feet in this place. My body felt floaty, like a thought wrapped in jello. And the worst part? I could still hear the last thing he said, echoing in my head like a cursed ringtone. I will show you a beautiful beginning to our new life. Cool. Except you left me in a glorified screensaver, dude. 0 stars. No beginning, no life, just white static and existential dread. Then the temperature changed. At first, it was a ripple of warmth. Gentle. Inviting. Then it slammed into me like a solar flare. I screamed, not from pain, but from sensory overload. Light twisted around me, folding space like origami. The world turned inside out. And suddenly, I was falling. Not the dream kind of falling, where everything feels fuzzy. No, I mean actual falling. Sky. Wind. Gravity giving me a wedge. I plummeted from a cloudless sky toward a sprawling landscape that looked like a Studio Ghibli fever dream. Rolling emerald hills, trees glowing with golden leaves, waterfalls that flowed upward. It was beautiful. And also very much approaching at terminal velocity. Oh, come on! I yelled, flailing. A second before impact, chakra blue energy wrapped around me like a cocoon. I hit the ground, more like floated gently onto it, which felt suspiciously like cheating physics. I collapsed on my knees, panting. Somewhere above, I swear I heard Naruto chuckle. I groaned. At least warn me next time. Let's get one thing straight. When a golden immortal ninja teleports you across dimensions with a motivational speech and some minor telepathic fireworks, you expect a few things. Cool powers. Training montages. Maybe a snazzy outfit. What you don't expect is to land flat on your face in a stranger's living room that smells like lemon polish and sandalwood incense. The floor was soft, like a really expensive rug had made sweet, fluffy love to a memory foam mattress. I groaned and rolled onto my back, staring at a vaulted ceiling with gold trim and weirdly calming cloud murals. The kind of ceiling that screams, "You're too broke to live here, peasant." I sat up slowly. Furniture straight out of an enchanted IKEA catalog surrounded me. Overstuffed couches. Carved wooden tables. A fireplace that looked like it had opinions. And the walls? Not walls at all, really, just open glass panels that looked out onto floating gardens and waterfalls that defied gravity. I blinked. Either I'm in paradise, or I hit my head really hard and woke up inside an anime. Then came the screen. Well, screen is kind of a misleading word. It didn't exactly appear so much as rip through space itself. 1 minute, I was admiring the designer sofa. The next, reality opened up like someone swiped left on the universe. A swirling shimmer hovered in midair, humming with ghostly energy. And inside it was home. Not metaphorical home. Literal home. I saw Amity Park. I saw my school, Casper High. I saw that one vending machine that never gives you your change back. I knew it was haunted. And then I saw me. Except it wasn't me. It was my body. Walking. Talking. Breathing. Sitting in class, making sarcastic comments, doing everything I normally do, without me inside it. I froze. My stomach dropped like a ghost trap triggered under a birthday cake. Oh no, I whispered. I've been possessed. Let's review that for dramatic effect. Danny Fenton, son of ghost hunters. Now haunted. The irony. 10 out of 10. Would scream again. On screen me, aka Possession Danny, laughed at a joke Sam made. Jazz walked by with her usual "I'm the only one holding this family together" expression. Tucker was trying to install Linux on a school laptop again. They looked fine. Normal. Unbothered. Meanwhile, I was trapped in an ancient ninja villa, talking to myself like a B-list Disney Channel protagonist. I owe them an apology, I muttered. All those years of scoffing at my parents' ghost alarms. All the times I said, "Pfft, full-body spiritual hijacking isn't real, Mom." Yeah. About that. Apparently, super real. And now some ninja soul fragment with a sunshine smile and main character energy was joyriding in my skin suit. Fantastic. Just then, a tray floated in. You read that right? Floated. Like Casper the Friendly Waiter. It hovered at eye level and plopped itself down on a coffee table in front of me with a clink. Cookies. Hot chocolate. Marshmallows smiling like they knew too much. A note floated above the mug, written in calligraphy that had too much confidence for its own good. Welcome to Phase 2. Try not to freak out. We're just borrowing your body for a bit. You'll thank me later. Naruto. Asterisk. I stared at it. You'll thank me later? I choked on my own disbelief. He stole my meat suit, served me cocoa, and thinks I'm going to write a 5-star Yelp review? I picked up the mug anyway. Because even in the middle of an existential identity crisis, I am not stupid enough to turn down marshmallows. So there I was. Possessed. Ghosted by myself. Stuck in a magical villa dimension that was probably in a brochure somewhere under deluxe hero training camps that mess with your soul. And yet, part of me was curious. Because as freaked out as I was, I couldn't shake that feeling from earlier. The visions. The power. The sense that maybe, just maybe, I was meant for something bigger than hiding behind sarcasm and ghost goo. I slumped back into the ridiculously comfy couch. Okay, Naruto, I muttered. You stole my body, made me a marshmallow hostage, and dragged me into spirit boot camp. But if this is some kind of second chance... I sipped my cocoa. You better be ready for one very sarcastic Padawan. Naruto stretched his new body. Flesh that wasn't his own responded with sluggish obedience. His hands moved instinctively, muscle memory guiding them through simple patterns, seals, stretches, yet each movement felt hollow. Weak. Brittle. A faint grimace tugged at his lips. This body was fragile. Not just in strength, but in presence. In resilience. The kind of vessel that had never known war, had never stood beneath a blood-red moon as comrades died. Even in his world, a 4-year-old child carried more natural toughness than what he felt here. But Naruto had expected this. He exhaled slowly, letting the breath settle the simmering disappointment. No, this wasn't divine intervention or some twist of fate. This had been planned. Years of war against the Otsutsuki clan had taught him that brute strength wasn't enough. Their reach extended across dimensions like roots beneath the skin of creation, draining worlds like parasites. Worlds like this one. He had tried fighting them alone for too long. That was the old way. Now, he would fight smart. Naruto had split his soul, scattered fragments of his essence across realities like seeds in fertile soil. Each piece was sent to find that world's hero. Someone like him. Someone chosen, even if they didn't know it yet. And this time, he found Danny Fenton. Naruto closed his eyes, remembering the moment he saw the boy. He didn't look like much. Pale. Anxious. Like someone who hadn't slept in days. But Naruto had learned long ago that appearances meant little. What mattered was the energy beneath the surface, the potential. And Danny radiated it. It wasn't raw power, not yet. It was more like possibility. A glimmer of something vast and undefined. Untapped. And beneath that was something else, something Naruto recognized all too well. Desperation. Loneliness. A hunger to matter. That was what made Naruto pay attention. This world was already under quiet siege. The Otsutsuki monitoring it would begin the draining process within the next few years. Slowly at first, natural disasters, strange phenomena, shifts in spiritual energy, but then the true devastation would follow. Planetary death, master's decay. And unless something changed, this Earth would end. But Naruto had a theory. Danny might be the key. He had learned about ghosts, about the strange science his parents practiced, about the strange energies they called ectoplasm. Naruto didn't pretend to fully understand the mechanics, but he felt the parallels. The same way he once learned to wield nature chakra by instinct, he could sense that this world ran on something similar. If Danny could tap into that, if he could become more than a boy with ghost problems, then maybe, just maybe, he could become something else. A protector. A medium. A shaman. A ghost hero. Naruto didn't know yet. But that was fine. He didn't need to know everything. He had always been a believer in the bigger picture. His life had been shaped by loss, yes, but also by the unshakable will to build something better. To protect those who would carry that vision forward. Now it was Danny's turn. He wouldn't force the boy. That was never his way. He would show him. Guide him. Nudge him, if he had to. And if Danny refused? Well, Naruto hadn't come this far just to watch another world crumble. He sat in silence for a moment, letting the thoughts settle. His new life wasn't what he expected. But then again, neither was being the child of prophecy, or a Jinchuriki, or a Hokage, or a father. And he had survived all of it. So no, this body wasn't strong. Not yet. But strength could be earned. Taught. And Danny Fenton? He was going to learn. Okay, let me start with a simple truth. Waking up to find a century-old space ninja using your body like it's an Airbnb is not on anyone's list of top 10 chill ways to start your day. Especially not mine. 1 second, I was in third period algebra, halfway through calculating the square root of why am I still alive, and the next thing I know, I'm watching myself walk through the halls of Casper High like I own the place. Except I wasn't the one driving anymore. Nope. That honor went to some ancient chakra ghost samurai dude who decided, hey, this scrawny kid looks like a great spiritual crash pad. And apparently, my body was his 5-star hotel. This kid hasn't even tried to take care of himself, my voice muttered, except it wasn't my voice. It was deeper. Cooler. Confident in a way I usually only feel when I'm watching superhero movies and pretending I could land a backflip without dislocating a spine. And also? Judgy. So. Judgy. No wonder Dash walks all over him. Rude. First of all, I didn't ask to be the local punching bag. It's just hard to defend yourself when your best combat move is fall down and hope they trip too. Yet there I was, still me, technically, walking like I just stepped out of an action movie. Shoulders back. Chin up. Swagger turned up to 11. It was like someone had turned Danny Fenton into DannyPhantom, Ninja Remastered Edition. And that someone was named Naruto. Yes. That Naruto. Except older. Way older. Like I remember when stars were still forming older. And yeah, he was real. Real enough that a piece of his soul had yeeted itself into my universe and crash-landed into my chest like it owned the lease. I was officially haunted by a ghost who didn't believe in ghosts. Welcome to my life. So, let me get this straight, I said mentally, because apparently we were on full-on mind-sharing terms now. You're a space warrior from another dimension, you fought some galaxy-eating god clan, your soul exploded, and now you're, what? My personal trainer? More like your guide, he answered, all calm and cosmic, like Yoda if Yoda were 6 feet tall and had rage issues. You have potential. Oh good. Potential. That's the word every nerdy kid hears before they get shoved into a locker. Still, I couldn't ignore the weirdly warm feeling that came with his presence. Like standing near a campfire made of lightning. He was ancient and powerful, yeah, but there was kindness buried somewhere under the "you disappoint me" tone. A little bit of hope. Maybe even pride? Until he made the list. I'm not even joking. He took a stroll through my brain like it was a shopping mall and found the dusty little corner where I kept my totally private dream goals, do not read ever. And then, he read them out loud. In my voice. With commentary. Here's the damage. Get good grades, admirable. Also not going well. Beat up Dash, he's weak. You can win with training. Or better aim. Look cool, unclear metric. We'll work on this. Become strong, now we're talking. Learn magic, ghosts here are like chakra spirits. You're already halfway there. Get some girls, HN. You lack subtlety. Win over Paulina, hearts are foolish. But worth chasing. I didn't know whether to be flattered or mortified. Honestly, both. Probably more mortified. But here's the thing, Naruto's not some genie who can just poof my problems away. He's stuck in the spiritual equivalent of dial-up internet. Every time he uses his power, it drains him. Which means no shadow clones. No Rasengan. No summoning giant frogs or foxes or punching asteroids. What I do get is ancient pep talks. A running commentary on my life. And extremely judgmental training montages. Yay. Still, as I watched myself, Naruto, glide down the hall, giving Dash the kind of look that makes alpha males suddenly reconsider their entire personality, something weird happened. People moved out of the way. Teachers paused. Even Dash flinched. And deep down, buried under the sarcasm and anxiety, a tiny voice whispered something I hadn't let myself believe in a long time. This could work. Let me start by saying, I didn't ask for a sensei. Especially not one who was part ghost, part chakra god, and apparently powerful enough to yeet a planet into the sun just by sneezing too hard. But hey, I guess life decided I needed one. So there I was, still watching my body strut through Casper High with Naruto in the driver's seat and me stuck in the back yelling, please don't make eye contact with Paulina. Too late. Abort. She blinked. I think she actually noticed me. I may have ascended spiritually right then. Or at least my puberty did. Anyway. As we walked, I felt Naruto's presence shift. Like he'd just finished reading the user manual of my life and finally decided to talk to the sad little nerd who came with the package. You're weaker than I expected, he said. So that's how we were starting this friendship. Awesome. But not hopeless, he added after a beat. Your body is soft, untrained. No discipline. No control. Like a wet leaf in the wind. Wow, I muttered in my head. Thanks for the compliments. You always this warm and fuzzy? Only when I like someone. I couldn't tell if that was a joke or a threat. Then he launched into the talk. Not that talk. The other one. The "you're about to become your school's next fitness freak" talk. We'll be training in two ways, he said. Physically, in the real world. And mentally, inside your consciousness. Cool, I said out loud. A nearby kid looked at me like I just offered to eat a chalkboard. I pretended I was on a Bluetooth call, like a very sweaty businessman in sneakers. Naruto kept going. Your body isn't used to my presence. Even though I'm less than 1% of what I once was, that fragment alone could still reduce this planet to ash. Cool, I repeated, this time internally, trying very hard not to pee myself. But I'm not here to destroy anything, he added, as if that needed clarification. I'm here to teach. And teaching means no shortcuts. No power-ups. You want strength? You earn it. I sighed. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear every shonen anime protagonist nodding solemnly. You'll exercise daily. Run, climb, stretch. Your body will adapt faster just by holding my soul. You'll become stronger. Faster. Your muscles will grow, your endurance will improve, and your hair might even stop being so weird. Hey! You'll become superhuman within a month, he added. If you work hard. I'm not gonna lie. My brain immediately started playing epic training montages. You know the ones: jump cuts, inspirational music, sweat dripping dramatically off my nose as I do push-ups on a mountaintop, and Paulina clapping in the background wearing a cheerleader uniform and maybe slow-motion wind in her hair. It was a beautiful dream. Then Naruto crushed it with, in your mind, we will also train. I'll teach you how to fight. How to focus. How to channel your instincts, and not die every time something glows and flies at your face. Rude, I muttered. That happened like 3 times. Max. Discipline. The dreaded D word. I already felt my video game time dying in a corner somewhere. Still, this was insane. I mean, Naruto Uzumaki was literally offering to train me. Me. Danny Fenton. The guy who trips over air and once sprained his ankle sleeping. Now I had a ghost ninja soul coach in my head and a personal boot camp scheduled between classes. I should have been panicking. Instead, I was smiling. Like a big, dumb, overly excited fanboy smile. Because somewhere in the back of my brain, behind all the sarcasm and trauma and ghost fights and social awkwardness, I was thinking. This is it. This is my origin story. Naruto's voice brought me back down to earth. Don't look so happy. Ninja training is brutal. It will test your limits. It will hurt. And sometimes you'll want to quit. Yeah. I remembered enough from the anime to know what he meant. Training arcs were always full of blood, sweat, and at least one traumatic flashback. But I nodded. I can take it. He didn't say anything for a second. Then I heard the faintest sound, maybe approval, maybe amusement. Definitely Naruto. Good. And just like that, I took my next step down the hall, still in full-on borrowed swagger mode, and realized something strange. For the first time in forever, I wasn't afraid of the future. I was charging straight into it. With a ninja ghost at my side and maybe, just maybe, the chance to become something more than Casper High's favorite punching bag. I was ready. Probably. Maybe. Okay, 50% ready. But that's better than nothing. You ever have one of those moments where you're finally feeling kinda good about your life, and then the universe throws a brick at your face? Yeah. That was me. Walking down the hallway like I had a spine, with Naruto's ancient cosmic soul guiding my every step, and just when I thought we were on track with the whole get superhuman abs and defeat all your enemies thing, he dropped this little gem. I'm going to help you start something with Paulina. I blinked. Paused mid-step. Nearly tripped over my own feet. Wait, what now? I asked, in the kind of voice reserved for people who've just been told their math teacher moonlights as a dragon. You want her, don't you? Naruto said, all calm and wise like he wasn't talking about Paulina Sanchez, the literal goddess of Casper High, and also the one person who hadn't looked at me since the 6th grade science fair disaster. We don't talk about the baking soda volcano. I mean, yeah, I admitted. But she's totally out of my league. Like, different zip code. Different sport. I'm playing ghost baseball and she's in a perfume commercial. Naruto huffed. She's a terrible girl. I coughed. I was hoping for something a little more motivational. But he continued, people can change. Even the worst ones. So I don't mind your choice. It's your heart. Which was weirdly kind. And also very much not the end of that statement. I'll talk some sense into her, Naruto added. I nodded. Oh. Cool, wait, you'll what now? Rude sense, he clarified. The kind that sticks in the brain. She's surrounded by boys who say yes to everything she does, laugh at every joke, fall over themselves to be noticed. You want to be remembered? You stand out. You talk back. You show her you're not another puppy begging for her attention. I blinked again. That's actually kind of smart. It's how you get in, he said, with all the confidence of a man who once convinced a homicidal god tree to chill out. Step 1, burn the illusion. Step 2, self-improvement. Show her you're not just someone different, you're someone better. It sounded amazing in theory. Like one of those dramatic rom-coms where the nerd gets a makeover montage and suddenly the hot girl notices he has eyes. But I knew better. This was real life. With Dash. And Quan. And a long list of people just waiting for me to fall flat on my face. So, I asked, like I was gently opening a box labeled Cursed Ideas, exactly how rude are we talking here? Like oops, I said something edgy but clever rude, or entire school hates me and I have to move to Canada rude? Naruto was quiet for a second. A long second. Then he said, very bad. Very what now? You will probably get beat up. Oh good. I was hoping my social life would burst into flames today. Look at it this way, Naruto said, far too casually for someone planning my public execution. Now you have extra motivation to improve your body. If you don't want to get pummeled into your locker, then start training harder. I groaned and dropped my forehead against a nearby locker. It might have been mine. Unclear. This is gonna kill me. It will only almost kill you, he said helpfully. Oh, well, in that case. Look, I knew Naruto wasn't trying to ruin my life. He meant well. Probably. Somewhere under all the sarcasm and warlord confidence, he actually believed I could do this. That I could become stronger. Braver. Better. And maybe even win over Paulina. But right now, all I could think about was the fact that tomorrow might start with a black eye and end with me getting banned from cheerleader lunch tables for life. If there was a Mount Rushmore of terrible ideas, Danny Fenton's face would now be carved in stone, right next to microwaving leftover chili in a sealed Tupperware and trying to pet a wild skunk. Because walking straight up to Paulina Sanchez, queen of Casper High and part-time goddess of glam, while insulting her soul and hitting on her in the same breath, that had to qualify as a felony in at least 3 states. But this wasn't Danny walking. This was Naruto, wearing Danny like a discount Halloween costume, and somehow making it look designer. He strode across the school courtyard like he owned the place, chin high, steps sharp, confidence dialed up to infinity plus ultra. The sun caught his eyes just right, giving him the kind of glint usually reserved for action movie trailers or shampoo commercials. Heads turned. Voices hushed. Even the breeze seemed to pause and say, "Yo, is that Danny Fenton?" Paulina, lounging under the protective circle of her entourage like a perfectly accessorized jungle queen, blinked as Danny/Naruto walked straight up to her. Now, for context, Paulina was used to two types of boys. Type A droolers. Nervous, mumbling kids who worshipped the ground she walked on and would combust if she smiled in their general direction. Type B PBPs. Overconfident jocks or wannabe influencers who tried to impress her with flexing, TikToks, or tragic acoustic guitar solos. But this was something different. "Hey, Paulina," Naruto said smoothly, like an espresso in a tuxedo. "Could I have a moment?" That voice. Calm. Collected. Too adult to belong in a high school hallway filled with pizza farts and midterm dread. Paulina blinked, her expression flickering from casual superiority to confusion. "Yes?" she said, "because what else do you say when someone hypnotizes you with raw charisma and insults aren't even on the radar yet?" Somewhere in the back of his own brain, Danny was screaming. "Abort. Abort. This is a war crime. Stop touching her face." Too late. Naruto, channeling every smug anime protagonist who ever lived, reached out and gently tilted Paulina's chin up, like she was the romantic lead in a movie titled Completely Bewildered and Slightly Terrified. Then he smiled. "I find you beautiful on the outside," he said, his voice smooth as silk and about as comforting as a silk noose, "but you're ugly on the inside. So shallow it makes me want to puke." Sound stopped existing. Even the birds paused mid-tweet, like did he just say that? Paulina's jaw dropped. Her entourage gasped in perfect harmony, like they were auditioning for a ghost-themed musical. Naruto kept going. "Your future is limited. Your shallow way of living? It'll only carry you so far. Your beauty's temporary. Best case, you land a rich old guy who can afford to put up with the drama. Worst case?" He shrugged. "You lose. Alone." A fork clattered somewhere. One of the goth kids dropped his vape pen. Even Dash Baxter, the school's walking bicep, looked confused. Paulina looked like someone had just insulted her favorite mirror. Her ego wasn't just bruised, it was full-on bruised, battered, and considering therapy. Then Naruto leaned back ever so slightly and flashed a crooked grin. But he added with the kind of confidence that usually comes with a full bank account and a sword collection, "I find you hot. So I'll make an offer." Danny, inside his own head, was absolutely losing it. "Don't make an offer, stop making offers." "Become mine," Naruto said, hands still lingering near her face. "And I'll show you a new world." Silence. Literal, complete, all-consuming silence. You could have dropped a textbook and it would have echoed into another dimension. Paulina blinked. Once. Twice. Then. "What?" That was it. That's all she could say. No comeback. No snark. Not even a hair flip. Just a single syllable of pure mental confusion. Naruto chuckled, like he hadn't just verbally drop-kicked a queen bee in front of her hive. He turned ever so slightly, acknowledging the stunned crowd like they were an audience in a theater performance he just stole. "Step 1, establish dominance," he said under his breath, knowing full well Danny could hear him from inside. "Let's see how far this pushes her boundaries." "I'm gonna die," Danny wailed in his own mind. "They're gonna stuff me in a locker and set it on fire." To say things had escalated quickly would be like saying Zeus occasionally threw a lightning bolt or two, technically true, but wildly understating the drama. There stood Danny Fenton. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. What they didn't know was that the soul currently occupying Danny's scrawny body wasn't the shy, ghost-hunted boy they were used to, but a certain interdimensional ninja with the personality of a firecracker and the subtlety of a hurricane. Naruto Uzumaki, hero, prankster, ramen connoisseur, and part-time teen body snatcher, was on a mission. That mission? Shake the very foundations of Casper High's social food chain, starting with Queen Bee herself, Pauline. He had already dropped some truth bombs, the kind that turned heads, cracked egos, and earned gasps loud enough to rival a concert crowd. But Naruto, being Naruto, wasn't quite finished. Well, he began again, loud enough for the world to pause mid-bite of cafeteria pizza. You're probably going to say, that's not going to happen because I'm rich. He glanced casually at Pauline, like he was pointing out a stain on her Gucci sweater. No, your father is rich. You're just a leech. If words could throw punches, this one uppercut Pauline right in the reputation. A collective of rippled through the crowd like a tidal wave of second-hand embarrassment. Somewhere, a freshman choked on his juice box. Another whispered, did he just roast her soul? Pauline's carefully curated social armor cracked. Her mascara-framed eyes widened, and a vein in her forehead began to twitch with the rage of 1,000 cancelled spa appointments. Naruto didn't stop. And the same goes for everyone here. He gestured broadly, casually roasting the entire student body. You'll end up as nothing more than an expensive vase decorating some rich businessman's side. Because let's be honest, you don't have what it takes to inherit the family business. Gasps again. At this point, the school nurse was probably getting stretchers ready for all the egos Naruto was demolishing. Your father's probably grooming your sibling for that role already, he said, every syllable slicing through the air like a ninja star of harsh truth. Why? Because time is money, and he's not wasting any more of it on you. And just like that, Pauline's facade cracked so hard it could be heard from the next hallway over. Her mouth hung open. Her lip trembled. Her eyes darted left and right, as if trying to find an exit from the sudden identity crisis Naruto had delivered. Inside Danny's mind, Danny himself was having what could only be described as a full-on mental implosion. What the actual heck are you doing? He screamed from within his spiritual jail cell. Naruto, of course, offered nothing more than a smug shrug. Fixing your rep, you're welcome. Outside, Pauline finally snapped. Boys, she snarled, her voice cracking like lightning, break his arms. Her jock brigade, a walking advertisement for gym memberships and low GPAs, stood up with the grace of angry hippos, cracking knuckles and rolling shoulders like extras in a bad action movie. Naruto? He sighed like he'd just been asked to do chores. The princess was hurt, so her puppets have to defend her, he said, voice dripping with sarcasm thick enough to drown in. Your actions only prove your immature mindset and lack of intellect. Then he turned, his back on them. Tell me, don't you feel any shame in being led around like dogs on a leash? He asked, throwing them a backward glance. Where's your dignity? Oh, wait, what am I saying? Your futures are already gutter trash. Now that got a reaction. One of the jocks lunged at him, big guy, probably played linebacker, definitely ate raw protein powder. But Naruto sidestepped with the elegance of a ballroom dancer and the efficiency of someone who's dodged kunai since childhood. The guy flew past him, tripped over his own size 13s, and skidded across the pavement like a sack of wet laundry. The silence was so intense you could hear Pauline's pride cracking. Naruto didn't even pause. He just kept walking, parting the crowd like Moses parting the Red Sea, with a smirk on his face and zero regard for high school hierarchy. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. Behind him, Pauline was still frozen, fists clenched, cheeks burning with rage and humiliation. Her friends? Whispering furiously, as if trying to piece together what reality even was anymore. And the rest of the students? They stood in stunned awe, their entire mental image of Danny Fenton now flipped upside down, set on fire, and launched into orbit. They came in fast. 3 jocks, each twice Danny's size and probably fueled by more protein powder than common sense, charged toward him with fists clenched and faces scrunched like they'd already decided how broken his nose was going to be. Danny, floating in the back seat of his own consciousness, could only watch in wide-eyed horror. Oh man, oh man, oh man, this is where we die. I hope Jazz clears my browser history. But Naruto, still steering Danny's body like a pro driver in a demolition derby, didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped into the first punch and redirected it. The crowd let out a collective gasp as the first jock, a linebacker named Kyle, went flying over Naruto's shoulder, landing flat on his back with a thud that knocked the wind out of him. The second one, Mike, charged in, swinging wildly. Naruto ducked under the haymaker with casual grace, then jabbed 2 fingers into the guy's pressure point just above the collarbone. Mike yelped and dropped like a sack of meat. The last guy, Rob, hesitated for a second, eyes darting between his 2 groaning teammates, and the new Danny Fenton standing between them. When the hell did you learn to fight? Rob barked, lowering into a cautious stance. Naruto smiled, cracking Danny's knuckles. Oh, this? Just some light exercise. You never took gym seriously, Rob growled. You couldn't even do a single pull-up last month. Guess I got tired of being weak, Naruto replied, voice cool, body perfectly balanced. Decided to do something about it. Rob hesitated, then rushed in. Bad move. Naruto sidestepped like he'd seen the move in slow motion, hooked Rob's leg mid-sprint, and swept him into the ground with a smooth spin that left the guy face down and choking on gravel. The entire courtyard went dead silent. A voice somewhere in the crowd whispered, "That's not Danny. There's no way that's Danny Fenton." Another, "Dude's built like a noodle but moves like a ninja." Danny, still spectating from inside, clutched his metaphorical head. What did you just do? Naruto laughed inwardly, dusting off Danny's jacket. Nothing serious. I pulled my punches. You flipped a guy who benches trucks. And I did it with your muscles. See what happens when you stop letting fear hold them back? The bell rang. Students broke from their frozen states, either scattering in terrified awe or staring at Danny with something completely foreign to him, respect. Naruto casually strolled into the building, not a hair out of place. Congrats, he said to Danny. Step 3's complete. You mean terrify the school and destroy my reputation? No. Step 3, show them you're not someone to mess with. Danny paused. And for a brief second, he wasn't entirely sure he hated it. In which Danny learns Naruto has opinions, Sam gets swept off her feet, literally, and Tucker discovers jealousy is a real and present emotion. To say Danny was reeling inside his own brain was putting it lightly. Watching Naruto pilot his body like it was a finely tuned sports car while Danny himself was trapped in the back seat with no steering wheel was a lot. And just when he thought Naruto couldn't surprise him more, after flipping linebackers and verbally vaporizing Pauline, he dropped this little bomb. There's something else I'm going to do. You might like it. Mostly not. You'll definitely be annoyed. Why do those sound like famous last words? Danny muttered mentally. Because they usually are, Naruto replied with a grin only Danny could feel. Anyway, if I didn't step in, you were on track to end up with Sam. Danny blinked. His entire internal dialogue came to a screeching halt like a record scratch in an awkward sitcom moment. Wait, what? Yeah, that goth girl who stares at you like you stole her eyeliner but also buys you tofu dogs for lunch. That one. You know about the red string of fate? Danny asked, equal parts horrified and fascinated. Nope. I just know how to read a room. Which you desperately need to learn, by the way. Because if I leave things up to you, you're going to miss every single social cue until you're 80 and alone, wondering why every girl you liked married someone else. Before Danny could throw out a spirited defense, he had some awareness, didn't he? Naruto, still walking in his body like he owned the school, was interrupted. That was so awesome! A voice shouted. Naruto turned his head just as Sam charged up beside him, her boots stomping the pavement like she was on a mission. Her black lipstick was flawless as usual, but the spark in her dark eyes was something new, something fiery and very confused. Naruto flashed her a grin. And here comes Exhibit A, he whispered mentally to Danny. Sam didn't notice the inner monologue, but she did notice the look. Her brain short-circuited just a bit when he gave her that confident smirk instead of the usual sheepish smile and fumbling apology. Yeah, dude, Tucker piped in, panting slightly as he jogged up behind them. That was insane. I mean, you threw Kyle. And you dodged like, you've been watching anime with me again, haven't you? This is like Season 3 level glow-up. Naruto chuckled lightly, offering an easy, glad you liked the show. But this? This was just the trailer. Danny groaned in his head. Why do you sound like an action hero? You're going to break my social life. You say that like it's not already duct-taped together with awkward silence and half-eaten sandwiches. Naruto turned to Tucker, suddenly serious, which caught the poor tech geek so off guard he tripped over his own feet. Tucker. Come to my house later. There's something we need to talk about. Important stuff. Tucker froze mid-step. Danny never sounded like that. Danny said things like maybe if you want to, no pressure and hey, sorry to bother you, but not there's something we need to talk about. Come over. Yeah, Tucker stammered. Sure, man. I'll be there. Naruto gave a small, approving nod before Sam crossed her arms with a huff. And what about me? Am I invisible now? I was literally here first, thank you. He turned to her with a glint of amusement, that trademark grin growing even sharper. How could I forget you? He said smoothly. Then, before either of them could question it, he slid his arm around her waist. Just like that. Like it was totally normal. Like they hadn't spent most of their friendship awkwardly not addressing the weird tension between them. Danny practically exploded from inside his brain. What are you doing? Sam stiffened, her cheeks flaring crimson. What are you doing? She repeated aloud, her voice pitching just a bit too high to sound truly calm. Walking you to class, Naruto replied innocently. Unless you'd rather I carried you? I mean, we could really make a scene. Sam sputtered. She absolutely did not want to enjoy this. And yet her brain had decided to go on vacation, leaving her stomach to do somersaults. Meanwhile, Tucker just stared. His eyes bounced between Sam and Danny, Naruto and Danny's body, his mouth opening and closing like a confused goldfish. When Naruto glanced back and called later Tucker, it took Tucker a full 3 seconds to process what had just happened. He watched the two walk off, Sam still stiff as a board, but not pulling away, and the air seemed to shift. Students were staring. Whispers started. Someone even dropped their juice box in disbelief. Tucker finally found his voice. I am not jealous, he said to absolutely no one. Pause. Not even a little bit. Another pause. Okay, maybe a little. As he sulked away, still muttering, Danny, still floating in Naruto's mental sidecar, sighed loudly. This is going to be a disaster. Yup. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Oh, absolutely. Danny. Let me set the scene for you. The air was crisp, the kind that makes your lungs go ah and your brain go why am I outside again? The sky was painted with that late afternoon glow that makes everything feel either romantic or like you're about to get abducted by aliens, depending on your mood. I was on the school rooftop, yeah, that rooftop. The one that's always mysteriously unlocked in movies, but in real life is usually protected by a lock forged by the gods of the maintenance staff. And that's where this all went off the rails. Now, if you're wondering how I ended up on the roof with Sam, holding hands, radiating the kind of confidence I only dream about when I'm asleep and in another dimension, well, you can thank one Naruto Uzumaki. Yeah, that Naruto. See, turns out he hijacked my body for a bit. Long story short, ghost powers, interdimensional ninja guy, and apparently, matchmaking instincts so strong they make Cupid look like an amateur with a broken slingshot. Anyway, there we were. Naruto, still wearing my face, had led Sam to the rooftop like some kind of suave anime protagonist, all calm and cool. He let go of her hand with this perfect timing, like he'd rehearsed it 1,000 times. Sam took a deep breath, her eyes scanning me like she was trying to solve a mystery. When did you pick up such criminal skills? She asked, nodding toward the picked rooftop door. Naruto, I grinned like this was totally normal behavior, and said, every skill has its use. I've been gathering them for my future goals. Okay, pause. That sounds like something I would say if I'd gone full villain. Or if I were in an Ocean's 11 sequel. Which, given my life, doesn't seem that far-fetched at this point. Sam raised an eyebrow. Hopefully that doesn't mean becoming a thief. Naruto smirked. That could be fun under certain circumstances. Imagine playing with the police, stealing priceless artifacts, and sending them back just for kicks. She rolled her eyes, but I caught that half-smile she was trying to hide. Trust me, I've seen it enough times to recognize the you're lucky you're cute expression. You've been watching too much anime, she muttered. It's clearly going to your head. Naruto stepped closer, still rocking my face and body, mind you, and said I like it best when you smile, so don't lose that fire. Don't go meek on me. Then he reached out and brushed her cheek. He touched her cheek. My cheek-touching game is, like, level 0, and this guy just straight up went for it. Sam looked like she had been struck by lightning and not in the usual ghost-hunting way. She gulped, and for a second, I was terrified she might vaporize him, or me. Honestly, who knew anymore? She said, in her classic I'm pretending I'm fine but I'm absolutely not voice. I don't know what you mean. Is that so? Naruto replied, tapping his chin like some romantic drama lead. Then, this guy, I swear, he pulled her close, hands on her waist, eyes locked onto hers like she was the last donut in the universe. Tell me what you're hiding in your heart, he said. I'm ready for it. Okay, look, even I nearly fell for that line. It was smooth. And then... I like you, Sam whispered, voice all soft and sincere. Very, very much. Let's journey together toward a bright future, Danny. My brain? Total static. So, quick update. I was me again. Naruto, after pulling a bold, emotionally charged, literally life-altering rooftop confession using my voice and my crush, just dipped. Like, okay, I've done enough free labor, time to clock out. Classic mysterious ninja ghost move, really. You're up, kid, he said in my head, voice fading like a mentor in a dream. Your life, your choice. I just gave you the nudge. Gee, thanks, Naruto. Can't wait to deal with the emotional aftermath of your romantic boldness. But okay, deep breaths. I was standing on a rooftop. Sam was staring at me, waiting for me to say something after she just confessed her feelings. No pressure, right? My heart was doing parkour in my chest. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Sam. A lot. Probably more than I realized until about 30 seconds ago. But I also maybe kinda sorta liked Paulina too. And figuring out what like even meant. That was a whole other science experiment I hadn't studied for. But Sam was looking at me with those intense green eyes, and this wasn't the time to stall. I like you too, I said finally. Truthfully. Honestly. There it was. Simple. Raw. Terrifying. She smiled, but it was a searching smile, like she was trying to solve a riddle made out of me. You're different, she said quietly. Not just today. You've been changing lately. It's like you woke up with a fire under you. What happened, Danny? Welp. Here we go. Naruto's voice echoed in my head one last time like a whisper through the static. Stick to the script. Don't mention me. Let her believe in you, not me. So I did what any overwhelmed teenage half-ghost would do. I told a well-crafted, dramatic, semi-true lie. I've changed because I want to be a hero, I began, hoping I sounded less like a comic book reject and more like someone with a spine. I want to make this world better. To protect it. To save it from falling into darkness. I paused, channeling every ounce of seriousness Naruto had dumped into my emotional reservoir. I had this dream, no, a nightmare. The world was falling apart. People were suffering, scared, and I was just watching it all happen. Useless. Since that day, I swore to change. The stuff happening here at school? It's small potatoes compared to what's really coming. Okay, was it over the top? Maybe. But judging by Sam's expression, I wasn't completely failing. She looked like her brain had run off with a thesaurus and was throwing words like destiny, revelation, and existential meltdown at her. But underneath that, she believed me. What do I do? She asked. Not are you crazy? Not what the heck are you talking about? Just, what do I do? I took a step closer. Are you willing to leave behind your peaceful life? Step into the chaos? Because this path isn't easy, Sam. There's danger ahead. Real danger. Despair, maybe even death. But if you walk it with me, we can make a difference. Silence. Then her eyes narrowed, and her lips curled into a fierce, determined smile, the kind that could punch fate in the face and not apologize. I never backed down from a challenge. I don't know if it was the wind or the moment, but something in the air shifted. She was in. She was with me. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't scared of the path ahead. I was terrified, sure, but not alone. You ever try having a full-blown psychic argument with an ancient ninja spirit while pretending to pay attention in biology class? October 10th, do not recommend. Mrs. Randall was droning on about photosynthesis, which, ironically, was actually relevant for once, but my brain was way too full of superhero metaphors, impending doom, and Naruto being cryptic again. What are you planning to do with Sam and Tucker? I asked in my head while doodling a stick-figure ghost on the edge of my notes. I thought I was supposed to be the hero. Why are you trying to recruit my friends too? Naruto's voice piped up in that casual, annoyingly calm tone of his. Because the world's on the edge of disaster, genius. You're gonna need help, lots of it. Think Justice League. Or the Avengers. Or, any competent team of heroes ever. Great, I thought. So now I'm Nick Fury? Awesome. Can I at least get the cool coat? I stole a glance at Tucker across the room. He was pretending to listen but was clearly working on something on his PDA under the desk. Probably a video game mod. Or hacking the school vending machines again. Honestly, fair. Tucker's a great hacker, I said, but I failed to see how that helps against, I don't know, ghostly space kaiju or world-ending evil. Unless we're planning to DDoS the apocalypse. You're forgetting something important, Naruto said. My world? Yeah, it advanced into sci-fi levels you can't even imagine. I can teach Tucker how to build real tech. Think Iron Man with a side of Tokyo Drift. I blinked. Wait. Iron Man Tucker? I looked at him again. Still slouching. Still smirking. Still wearing that hat that made him look like a tech-savvy chimney sweep. But now I imagined him flying around in a souped-up power suit firing off wrist lasers and screaming nerd rage. And suddenly I didn't hate the idea. Okay, fair. What about Sam? I asked. I mean, she's rich, sure, but she's not exactly Batgirl. Unless she's been taking night classes in ninja combat when I wasn't looking. Naruto chuckled. You completely missed it, didn't you? Sam has deep knowledge of plants, chemistry, ecosystems, not just goth rants and soy burgers. That stuff? Extremely useful. Poisons, antidotes, biological warfare, you name it. Wait, so she is Poison Ivy now? With a conscience, yes. Okay, I'll admit, I was starting to get a clearer picture now. Sam in a lab coat mixing herbal explosives, Tucker flying around with jet boots, and me, the half-ghost team leader, still trying to pass algebra. Sure, we were still a couple steps below Earth's mightiest heroes, but it was a start. Then Naruto dropped the big one. Eventually, I'll give you all a kind of energy, chakra, or something similar. As your core traits develop, so will your powers. You'll grow into them. Your strength will reflect your spirit. I froze mid-scribble. Oh no. That sounded like character development. And training arcs. And responsibility. I slumped back in my seat, groaning inwardly. So let me get this straight. You're turning my life into an anime, giving my best friend a mech suit, my crush botanical bombs, and me a destiny? You're welcome. I sighed. Mrs. Randall was still talking about chlorophyll, but I was already thinking about assembling Team Phantom, and wondering if Sam was going to be mad when I told her Naruto wanted to give her actual ninja plant powers. Also, what kind of energy drink do I need to survive all this? Here's a fun high school fact they don't put on the brochure. Getting slammed into lockers by a guy built like a vending machine with anger issues is, shockingly, not as fun as it sounds. I was just walking down the hall, minding my own business, probably daydreaming about lunch or planetary doom, regular teen stuff, when I heard it. Hey, Fenton. Yep. There he was. Dash Baxter. King of Dumbbell Mountain. Captain of the Meathead Patrol. A human tank with a punch that could probably register on the Richter scale. And next to him were his three favorite hobbies: intimidation, mockery, and protein shakes. And right now, I was the unlucky target of all three. Heard you messed with Paulina. Did you eat crap or something? Who gave you the courage to spout that nonsense, huh? So, fun story, I may have accidentally grown a spine recently. And that spine may have included telling Paulina she wasn't as amazing as she thought she was. To be fair, she really needed to hear it. Unfortunately, Dash took that as a personal insult. Because, of course, the only thing more fragile than Dash's ego is his understanding of boundaries. I froze mid-step. My instincts screamed run, but Dash was faster, stronger, and fueled by rage and muscle milk. Show no fear, came Naruto's voice, calm and cool in my brain like some kind of ghost therapist. Right. Easy for him to say. He probably roundhouse kicked his bullies into volcanoes. Still, I did my best impression of someone with guts and forced a smile. Hello, Dash. Surprised to see you here. Cue the hyena laughter from his backup dancers. He's gone loco. Fenton can't afford crazy. Does delusion come with a coupon? Look, if insults were a sport, these guys would have a varsity letter in it. But before I could even roll my eyes, Dash grabbed my shirt and slammed me into the lockers like bam, full WWE special. Pain shot through my back like someone had replaced my spine with a wet noodle. My feet left the ground. His fist drew back. And for the first time in forever, I didn't flinch. No fear. Fight back. He's just human. You won't die until I allow it. Okay, creepy Naruto voice, but also, kind of inspiring? So I did something incredibly dumb. I punched Dash in the face. Yep. Me. Danny Fenton. 5 feet 6 inches on a good day. Punch Dash. I bench press actual Cars Baxter. It was not a knockout. It was barely even a knockwobble. But Dash stopped. His eyes widened. The entire hallway went silent like someone had hit the mute button on reality. Then Dash hit me back. His punch landed square on my jaw, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I saw stars. Whole constellations. Maybe a few alternate realities. I stumbled but didn't fall. Probably because the lockers were the only thing holding me up. The crowd murmured. Did Fenton just fight back? Is he crazy? This is better than gym class. Dash must have realized he was drawing too much attention, because he let me go with a scowl. You're not worth it, Fenton. Stay out of my way, or next time, you won't be so lucky. Translation: I am confused and mildly embarrassed and will now exit before someone uploads this to social media. As he stalked off, I sagged against the lockers, feeling like I'd been steamrolled. My jaw throbbed. My ribs ached. My pride was somewhere between wow and what did I just do? But you know what? I didn't cry. I didn't run. I fought back. Sure, I had a black eye. But I also had something else. Sam. She was mine now. Somehow, against all logic and reason, I had a girlfriend. So yeah, the pain was bearable. Especially if it meant that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't Danny Fenton, the loser anymore. Maybe I was starting to become something else. A hero. With a mean right hook, apparently. Let me just start by saying, if you ever find yourself thinking, you know what might be a good idea? Punching the biggest jock in school right in his smug face, don't. Just don't. Unless you've got a death wish. Or a mysterious ninja voice in your head that talks like a motivational drill sergeant with emotional issues. So yeah, that happened. I was hobbling down the sidewalk like a zombie after leg day, with Sam beside me playing the role of a concerned nurse/girlfriend/person trying very hard not to call me an idiot. One of my eyes was swollen shut, my back felt like it had lost a fight with a dump truck, and I was pretty sure at least one of my ribs was considering early retirement. Sam, of course, looked completely fine. She was the kind of goth that made combat boots and sarcasm seem graceful, even while helping a human punching bag like me limp down the street. Does it hurt? She asked gently, looping her arm around my shoulder to keep me from tipping over like a sad domino. I glanced at her. Or, well, tried to. My left eye was protesting by staging a sit-in. Of course it does, I muttered. Just look at my eye. I look like someone photoshopped a raisin onto my face. She winced in sympathy. I winced in pain. Bonding. What I didn't say was that the worst part wasn't the bruises. It was him. The guy in my head. You see, ever since Naruto, yes, that Naruto, long story, decided to hitch a ride in my brain like some kind of ghost life coach, my internal monologue had gotten a serious upgrade in the SAS department. Why couldn't you have chosen someone better? I grumbled mentally. Mike Tyson? My dad? Literally anyone who doesn't get nosebleeds from gym class? You'll understand when the time comes. He always talked like that. All cryptic and calm, like I was supposed to be training for some secret destiny instead of struggling to survive high school. It was extremely annoying. I sighed, like audibly. Sam shot me a glance. Still hearing voices? Nope. Just trying to breathe without my spleen filing a complaint. We walked in silence for a few minutes, the wind cold against my face and my brain buzzing with what ifs. What if I'd done something differently? What if I hadn't punched Dash? What if I was just normal? Just make it harder for them to bully you, the voice said again, sharper this time. You've made yourself an easy target for years. Learn from your sister. No excuses? Ah, yes. Jazz. My older sister. Smart, focused, confident. Basically everything I wasn't, in one convenient genius-shaped package. She was the poster child for parents' favorite, even if they were too distracted by ghost traps and ectoplasm to actually say it. She got a scholarship to some Ivy League tech fortress. Built her own robot in 8th grade. Could probably cure hiccups with a screwdriver and a meaningful glare. And then there was me. I'm the odd one out, I thought miserably. The family failure. The ghost of potential that never materialized. At least now I match the family aesthetic. Everyone else is amazing, and I'm just here for comic relief. Danny, Sam said softly, as if she'd heard every insecure thought leaking out of my ears. You know you were brave today, right? I blinked. Well, half blinked. When I was still striking. Brave? I got beat up. You stood your ground. That's more than most people ever do. You didn't let Dash win. Not really. She smiled a little, and I felt my stomach do a weird flip. Not from the bruises this time, though those were still there, but something else. Something warmer. Something that felt kind of okay. And just like that, I remembered something very important. I had a girlfriend. Not just any girlfriend. Sam. The toughest, smartest, most no-nonsense goth girl in school who could probably win a knife fight using only her eyeliner pencil. And for some unknown cosmic reason, she'd chosen me. Which, honestly, made me feel a little less like the family failure. Maybe I wasn't the hero yet. But I was on the road to becoming something. Even if that road included limping home with one eye, a bruised ego, and a snarky ninja voice who sounded like he was one motivational speech away from making me do push-ups in traffic. So there we were, me, bruised and broken like a second-hand action figure, and Sam, giving me that look. You know the one. The I care about you, but I'm also dangerously close to reading your emotional state like a BuzzFeed quiz look. The silence between us was like one of those awkward middle school dances where nobody knows what to do with their hands. I wanted to say something, anything, but my brain was still rebooting after the day's trauma, and okay, maybe also because I couldn't stop thinking about the rooftop. Earlier that afternoon, I'd seen a side of Sam I didn't even know existed. She'd been gentle, thoughtful, still Sam, but different. Like she'd peeled back one of those emotional onion layers and let me see the part that didn't always wear combat boots and argue with teachers about ethical food production. And I swear, somewhere in my brain, an alarm went off. She's cute, I admitted mentally, immediately wanting to curl up in a locker and die. Me. Danny Fenton. Thinking about Sam like that. What was happening to me? Was this part of puberty? Because I was not emotionally equipped for this level of realization, thank you very much. She wasn't even my type. I mean, I used to think I liked girls who were, I don't know, delicate? Like one strong breeze would carry them away. Sam? Sam would beat the breeze into submission and then give it a pamphlet on the dangers of air pollution. So imagine my emotional disaster when Sam stopped walking, tugged gently on my arm, and said, "Hold on. Let me make it more comfortable." My body froze. My heart tapped out Morse code. Panic. Panic. This is not a drill. Wait, what? Too late. Sam leaned in. Leaned in. Her fingers cupped my face like I was something fragile, like one wrong move would shatter me. Then she blew softly on my swollen eye, cool air mixed with a hint of mint and that lavender wise shampoo she swears isn't girly, even though it 100% is. And just like that, the universe collapsed. Her face was right there. Her lips, purple, perfect, and entirely too close, filled my vision. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My thoughts turned to jelly. Sam, for her part, looked utterly unfazed, like this was just something friends did all the time. There, she said, pulling back and smiling. That should help a little. Thanks, I croaked, probably sounding like someone who just licked sandpaper. I feel better now. Let's get home quickly. And then I did what any brave, noble guy in my situation would do. I ran away. Okay, hobbled briskly, but still. My heart was doing gymnastics. My face was on fire. And the voice in my head chose that moment to not laugh at me, which somehow made it worse. A smart move, it said thoughtfully. Not every problem needs to be faced head on, especially when the timing isn't right. Choose your battles wisely. Gee, thanks, Sensei Cryptic. Super helpful. Sam trailed behind, silent now, but I could feel her eyes on me. I wanted to turn around, to tell her what I was feeling, to ask her if she meant anything by that moment. But I couldn't. Not yet. Maybe I was still too afraid. Or maybe I just wasn't ready to risk messing up whatever this was between us. Behind me, Sam frowned, her arms crossed over her chest as she walked. She could tell something had changed. I wasn't acting like myself. And while the logical part of her brain chalked it up to the fight, another voice whispered doubt in her ear. Is something wrong? She wondered, glancing at me. Neither of us said anything else. We just kept walking, two people trying to figure out what had just happened, and what it meant for the friendship that was starting to feel like something more. Look, I've had some weird lunches. Once I ate stale cereal with orange juice because we were out of milk and my dad said experimenting builds character. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for eating reheated leftovers while getting a motivational speech from Naruto Uzumaki, shinobi extraordinaire and part-time ghost coach. After limping home like I'd lost a fight with a haunted blender, which, honestly, wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened in Amity Park, the first thing I did was take a shower. Let me just say, showering with half your back screaming and your eye still looking like it got personally offended by a bowling ball. Not fun. I may or may not have whimpered a little. No one can prove it. The house was quiet when I got out. Mom and Dad were off doing their usual mad scientist thing, possibly at a ghost portal convention or creating ethically questionable weaponry in the basement. Jazz wasn't home yet either, probably solving quantum physics for extra credit or saving orphans or something equally jazz-like. That meant it was just me, my damp hair, and the comforting hum of the microwave. I grabbed some of Mom's leftover lasagna, surprisingly good, considering it hadn't exploded, nuked it to that perfect magma on the edges, cold in the middle temperature, and plopped down at the kitchen table with a sigh that sounded like it came from my soul. And then, because my life is a swirling tornado of the absurd, I heard his voice. Yo, Danny. Ready to start training today? Naruto's voice came through clear as ever, thanks to the weird mental link we'd developed. Don't ask me how it works. If I think about it too hard, I start questioning reality. I blinked at my lasagna. Define ready. Because if you mean physically and emotionally capable, then no. Absolutely not. Come on, don't be like that. Pain builds character. A hero has to endure. I groaned and leaned back in my chair. Naruto, I literally got curb stomped earlier. I'm about 3 bruises away from becoming modern art. Can't we wait like 2 days? Or a week? Maybe forever? No way, he said cheerfully, like I hadn't just offered a lifetime subscription to an activity. This kind of pain won't stop you from training. I'll heal you every night, so it won't leave lasting damage. That way your body grows stronger, and you don't miss any time. I stared at the wall for a second. You what? Yep, he continued, way too upbeat for someone threatening to put me through ninja boot camp. Think of it like this: pain during the day, healing at night. Rinse and repeat. I stabbed my lasagna with unnecessary aggression. So magical ghost therapy mixed with aggressive P.E. Exactly. Great. Just what I needed. Not only was I fighting ghosts, reevaluating my feelings for Sam, and managing the crushing weight of Fenton-level insecurity, I was now also getting a crash course in anime-style pain endurance. But as much as I wanted to argue, there was a small, annoyingly responsible part of me that knew Naruto was right. Heroes don't wait until it's comfortable. They don't get days off for bruised ribs or emotional crises. I sighed. Fine. But if I puke from overexertion, I'm haunting you. You ever look at a treadmill and think, this machine has personally wronged me? Because after the first 10 minutes of Naruto's gentle introduction to training, I was ready to file a restraining order against the entire gym. The Fenton gym isn't what you'd expect from a bunch of self-proclaimed ghost hunters who spend most of their time blasting holes in walls and ignoring child labor laws. It's luxury. We're talking full underground facility, high-tech monitoring gear, racks of weights arranged like we're training to fight Godzilla, and a scent that screams dedication, sweat, and at least 3 protein powders. Dad built it back when he decided he was going to turn the whole family into a ghost-fighting powerhouse of justice. I always assumed he meant by accident, but turns out he was serious. The man himself? Jack Fenton? Absolute unit. Think Santa Claus if he swapped cookies for creatine and had a black belt in judo. He can bench press half a car and once tossed me over his shoulder like a ragdoll for not finishing my cereal. Mom's just as intense, but she hides it behind a calm smile and loud goggles. She can probably beat up half the town in under 5 minutes. And Jazz? Yeah, she bought into it. Black belt, full scholarship, teenage prodigy. Basically if Hermione Granger took MMA for fun. Then there's me. Danny Fenton, proud holder of the school record for most convincing excuses to skip gym class. Okay, Naruto said in my head, all peppy and full of lies. Let's start with stretching. 10 minutes. Stretching wasn't so bad. I got to lie down for a bit, which was my preferred state of existence. But then the treadmill happened. Naruto's voice echoed like a drill sergeant with a motivational podcast addiction. Come on. Light jog. You just ate, so don't sprint. I'm gonna blame you if I barf lasagna on this thing, I muttered, wheezing as my legs shuffled along like overcooked spaghetti. Hope you like haunted gym equipment. After 10 minutes of what felt like slow motion dying, I got upgraded to the stationary bike, which is basically just leg torture with a seat. Then came the chest press. And then the weights. Look, I'm not proud of this, but I could barely curl 5 kilograms with one hand. 5. That's like lifting a sack of flour and feeling like your arm's going to fall off. You'll get stronger, Naruto encouraged, sounding way too chipper. This is just the beginning. I can't even press the beginning, I gasped. He had me cycle back into push-ups, which capped at 14 before I collapsed, and then hit the pull-up bar, which I swear laughed at me when I couldn't even do one. Sit-ups? Managed those, but only because lying down is half the job. Leg press? My thighs screamed betrayal and threatened to unionize. The gym's fancy screens gave biometric updates the whole time: heart rate, oxygen, muscle fatigue. At some point I'm pretty sure one machine flashed maybe try crochet instead? By the end of it, I was a puddle of suffering on the rubber mat, drenched in sweat and dignity-free. My muscles twitched like they were sending SOS signals to my internal organs. "I hate you," I groaned. "That's the spirit," Naruto laughed. "Every hero starts somewhere. We're building the foundation." "More like the Rekage," I muttered. But despite all the grumbling and flopping around like a dying fish, a tiny part of me felt something. Not quite pride. Maybe potential? Like even if I wasn't strong now, I could be. Eventually. Right after I slept for 12 years and iced every bone in my body. By the time the so-called workout ended, my legs had officially filed for divorce. My arms weren't faring much better. Every step back toward the stairs felt like dragging cinder blocks tied to my feet. If my bones could talk, they'd be yelling, "This is why we avoid effort, you idiot." "You did good today," Naruto said, his voice actually sounding proud. "Time to reward your body. Let's hit the bath." If anyone else had said that to me, especially in my condition, I'd have reported them to the police. But since this was a magical ninja ghost voice living in my head, I figured I'd let it slide. Naruto's chakra gently flowed through me, giving me just enough strength to wobble up the stairs like a newborn deer in socks. He was literally helping me walk. At this point, I was past shame. I'd have gladly let him carry me bridal style if he had a physical body. We made it to my room, and I somehow peeled off my gym clothes and dragged myself into the bathroom like a war veteran. The tub looked like the gates of heaven. I turned the faucet, let the water rise, and then, Naruto's glow lit the whole place up like a mythical spa retreat. He didn't just bless the bathwater. He poured golden chakra into it. Literal sparkles danced on the surface. The water shimmered like liquid sunlight, radiating warmth and comfort. "This chakra will ease your soreness and help your muscles recover," he explained. "Think of it as a ninja hot spring. Minus the frogs." I dipped a toe in and almost cried. Not from pain. From joy. Then I sunk in up to my neck, exhaled slowly, and melted. "You know," I mumbled, slumping against the side, "I feel like a princess. An exhausted, sore, emotionally confused princess, but still. A strong one," Naruto added. "Every warrior needs a moment to recharge. This is yours." For a moment, everything hurt less. Not just my muscles. Even my brain shut up. The pressure of being weak, being ordinary, being me, it floated away in the golden water. I closed my eyes and let the warmth soak into every corner of me. Maybe I wasn't the family failure. Maybe I wasn't just some ghost magnet with a bad haircut. Maybe, just maybe, I could actually do this. Or maybe I'd fall asleep and drown in chakra water. Either way, I'd die happy. So there I was, floating like a dumpling in a bowl of golden miso soup, eyes half-lidded, muscles relaxing in ways I didn't even know were possible. The bath was still glowing faintly from Naruto's chakra infusion, and I swear I could hear harp music playing somewhere in the distance. It was perfect. Naturally, that's exactly when disaster struck. "Danny?" came a familiar voice outside the bathroom door. "Jazz." My soul momentarily left my body. I saw the gym equipment had been used. "Did you actually train? Are you okay? Did you sprain anything? Pull a hamstring? Tear your dignity?" "No," I croaked back, sitting up way too fast and sloshing half the magic water out of the tub like I was reenacting Titanic in reverse. "I'm fine. Everything's fine. Just, routine maintenance bathing." "Smooth," Naruto deadpanned in my head, completely unhelpful. "You're a master of stealth and deception." "Don't you start with me," I hissed under my breath, waving an angry finger at the ceiling. Or maybe at my own forehead. I wasn't sure anymore. Jazz narrowed her eyes. She didn't believe me. But she also didn't say anything. Instead, she leaned casually against the doorframe, arms crossed. "So you did train. Voluntarily. And now you're soaking in some kind of bath like a floating golden egg roll. Maybe. That's actually kind of impressive, she said, eyebrow raised. You'll probably still be sore tomorrow, though. Did you stretch properly? I made him, Naruto said smugly in my brain. She says that like I didn't almost die on the treadmill, I muttered. Jazz chuckled. Well, try not to drown in there, okay? Also, remember to hydrate. And if your joints feel like they're on fire, it's probably inflammation. I said. She thinks I'm an egg roll, I sighed. To be fair, Naruto mused, you do look deliciously pathetic right now. Just give me like 20 more minutes of feeling like a fairy tale princess, I grumbled under my breath. Then I'll be the heroic disappointment everyone knows and loves. Heroes start somewhere, Naruto said, finally sounding like a semi-responsible mentor. Even in magical soup. Gee. Thanks, Naruto. Glad to know I'm officially a shrimp in chakra ramen. Jazz, bless her, didn't knock again. I waited silent until her footsteps finally faded down the hall. I slumped down in the tub with a dramatic sigh. I slumped lower into the water until only my nose stuck out. Maybe if I stayed submerged long enough, I could respawn as someone cool. In which Danny tries to be serious, Tucker throws chips, and Sam might be in love with a lunatic. At precisely 5 o'clock, also known as the sacred hour of snacks, Sam and Tucker arrived at the Fenton household, which somehow hadn't exploded that week. The ghost alarm was blissfully silent, the lab was sealed shut, probably with duct tape, and the living room hadn't been converted into a monster containment cell in at least 3 days. Progress. Danny's room, a controlled chaos of comic books, energy drink cans, and tech scraps, was surprisingly cozy. On the carpeted floor sat an offering of chips, cookies, and enough fizzy soda to short-circuit a ghost trap. Tucker leaned against Danny's bed frame, chewing through his second bag of chips like he'd been training for a snack-eating championship. Sam lounged in her signature purple beanbag, a silent but stylish observer of the chaos. Danny himself was in the serious chair, a computer swivel chair that squeaked when he shifted his weight, which did not help with the gravity he was trying to give the moment. His hands rested on his knees, his back was straight, and he looked like someone trying very hard to look like he wasn't trying very hard. This, of course, was already suspicious. So, Tucker said, raising a brow and gesturing between Danny and Sam with a smirk, I'm happy for you guys, really. But why did you invite me here to be your emotional third wheel? Did you want to rub it in? Danny blinked, mouth twitching upward. Tucker, my guy. My brother in snack-based diplomacy. I'm offended you'd think I'd do something so petty. There was a beat of silence. Sam glanced at him. Tucker raised his other eyebrow. Danny cracked. Okay, I definitely invited you to feel the crushing weight of singlehood. It builds character. Tucker, not missing a beat, launched a handful of chips at him. Man, you suck. Danny deflected with a pillow. Your aim sucks. Sam sighed dramatically, raising her hands like a referee at a supernatural wrestling match. Can we not descend into another chip war? We're here for a reason, remember? Danny turned sheepish. Sort of. The Naruto inside him was still very entertained. Speaking of which, Naruto, who had been lounging in Danny's subconscious like a fox-themed mentor in residence, shifted gears. It was time for business. Big business. Hero business. Naruto Danny, cleared his throat and straightened up like he was about to pitch a TED Talk on vigilante justice. This, he began solemnly, is going to be serious. Sam and Tucker blinked. Tucker instinctively stopped chewing. I've decided, Danny continued, voice dropping an octave like someone on a late-night radio show, to become a model citizen. A fighter. A symbol of hope. Sam's eyes narrowed. Tucker leaned forward. Wait. Is this, like, a cosplay thing? Because if you're making a Batman suit, I get to be Robin. Danny shook his head with what could only be described as noble determination. No cosplay. Real training. Real skills. Real courage. I'm going to become a hero. Like Batman. That stopped them cold. Tucker's smirk returned, but this time there was something thoughtful beneath it. Batman? Not Superman? You're not trying to fly or shoot lasers or something? I'm trying to build a foundation, Danny said. A real one. One that doesn't rely on powers. Because let's face it, ghost stuff or not, I need to be stronger. I want to be stronger. Sam sat up straighter, purple eyes scanning him as if trying to figure out if he was joking, brainwashed, or having a very early midlife crisis. You're serious? She asked. Danny nodded. I am. I've been training. Fixing my personality. Working on courage. It's not about just fighting ghosts anymore, it's about being ready for anything. I can't do it alone. A pause. Tucker exchanged a glance with Sam, chips momentarily forgotten. And you want to start a team? Sam asked slowly. Yes, Danny said. Because even Batman had backup. I need people I trust. People who aren't afraid to stand up when things get dangerous. Naruto, silently watching through Danny's eyes, smiled. Not bad, kid. A little dramatic, but not bad. This path of heroism requires sacrifice. Sacrifice of our time, our enjoyment, and it puts our lives at risk, Naruto, in Danny's body said, arms crossed like a sensei with a world-class grudge. I have chosen you two as my close ones, for your qualities. But I will not hold it against you if you decline this request. After all, we only have one life. Tucker blinked. That last line hit like a ghost punch to the gut. He looked down at the crumbs on his lap, thank you, Ecto Chips, and tried to remember the last time they didn't deal with supernatural nonsense. Was there ever a time? Bro, he finally said, brushing off imaginary ninja dust. We've been together for years. If you're jumping into something crazy again, you better believe I'm already halfway in with you. What do you need me to do? Sam, ever the gothic voice of calm logic and fierce loyalty, stepped closer and placed her hands gently on Danny's, not Danny's, shoulders. I trust you, she said, and somehow, that three-word sentence managed to carry the weight of 1,000 I told you SOS, and every silent time she'd stood beside him when the odds were awful. Danny, well, Naruto Danny, looked down for a second, the moment cracking his dramatic sensei impression just enough to let some honest emotion through. Thanks, guys, he murmured. It was hard to sound humble when you looked like you were trying to project chakra from your nostrils, but the sincerity was all Danny. Then sensei mode reactivated. This is something long-term, Naruto said, glancing at them like a coach trying to assemble the most underfunded superhero team in history. We're not starting immediately because we need to build up our strengths and cover our weaknesses. None of us have gone through a real fight yet. And trust me, the first time you get punched in the face, all your brilliant plans fly out the window along with your last brain cell. Tucker snorted. So basically, gym class all over again. Sam rolled her eyes. With fewer dodgeballs and more chances of spontaneous combustion. They both turned serious again as Naruto continued. The plan was ambitious, grand, slightly terrifying, but also oddly cool. Tucker, Naruto said, switching to his mission commander voice. You'll focus on tech, hacking, building gadgets. I'll help you get started, then you're free to go full Iron Man meets Q from Bond. Tucker straightened like he'd just been handed the keys to Stark Tower. Okay, now that sounds awesome. Sam, Naruto continued, turning to her with the same respect he gave his top-tier shinobi friends. You'll take lead on biochemistry. Think poison ivy, minus the homicidal plant obsession. You'll be our expert in chemical warfare, biology, antidotes, anything that helps keep us alive or gives us the edge. Sam's eyes lit up in that I'm going to raid the school lab for all it's worth kind of way. You had me at biochemical edge. Danny finally took back control for a moment, rubbing the back of his neck like he'd just woken up from a really intense dream about calculus and moral responsibility. We'll all work on physical training too, he added, clearly quoting Naruto's earlier words. And mental prep. Because apparently, getting good at punching things also means being emotionally available. There was a moment of silence as that truth hung in the air like a forgotten gym sock. Then Sam, ever the first to get serious again, nodded. Let's do this. Tucker raised his hands in mock surrender. All right, I'm in. But don't blame me if you end up with a few extra bruises, Danny. Danny gave a weak smile. Just make sure you don't accidentally electrocute me again with your first prototype. That was once, and technically it was only half voltage. They all laughed, the tension finally breaking like a soda can under ghost pressure. But then Tucker, grinning mischievously, leaned forward with a question that made the room go quiet again, though this time with anticipation rather than dread. So, he said, eyes darting between them, what's our team name gonna be? Danny blinked. Sam arched an eyebrow. Even Naruto inside his head raised a spiritual eyebrow. Great. They had a plan. They had skills. Now all they needed was branding. Danny Fenton was not having what you'd call a normal teenage experience. Then again, how normal could your life be when a powerful ninja from another world was secretly living inside your soul? Not that Tucker or Sam knew, of course. That tiny detail was kind of confidential. Classified. A whole need-to-know situation. And as far as Danny was concerned, they absolutely did not need to know. Not yet. At the moment, the three of them were gathered in Danny's room, a place that had seen its fair share of ghost invasions, sibling squabbles, and leftover pizza slices that had achieved sentience. The atmosphere, though, was surprisingly serious. Like, we're about to form a superhero squad serious. Tucker leaned forward, eyes flicking between Danny and Sam, clearly trying to lighten the mood. So, what's our team name gonna be? He asked, eyebrows raised in hopeful curiosity. Please don't say Team Phantom. We're cooler than that. Slightly. Maybe. Danny rubbed the back of his neck, the weight of Naruto's words still clinging to him like ghost slime. We'll take one once we start, he said, voice even. No point naming a team that hasn't done anything yet. He was trying to sound wise. Heroic. Mysterious, even. Mostly, he was stalling because the only name he could think of was Ghostbusters 2.0, and that just felt legally risky. Sam, ever the investigative journalist in combat boots, narrowed her eyes at Danny. How did you get information on poisons anyway? She asked. Her tone wasn't accusing. Not quite. But it had that Sam Manson is on to you edge that could make grown adults confess to crimes they didn't commit. Danny blinked. Naruto stirred within him, offering a cool, easy. Half-truths work best. My parents have tested a bunch of stuff for their ghost research, Danny said, trying not to sound like he was lying. Which, to be fair, he wasn't. He was just filtering. I paid attention. Jotted a few things down. Sam considered that, tapping a black painted nail against her chin. I never thought about using my knowledge of plants that way, she admitted, a spark lighting in her violet eyes. It actually sounds kind of fun. Like poison ivy, but less world domination, more eco-friendly super team. She reached out and affectionately tousled Danny's hair, a rare show of tenderness that made Tucker fake a gagging noise in the background. Ugh, guys, I'm right here. Sam ignored him, and Danny fought the urge to turn into a puddle. Not because of the high rub, okay, maybe a little, but because every time she touched him, Naruto would awkwardly grunt inside his head like a roommate walking in on something personal. Tucker, meanwhile, was still mentally rerouting. Wait, since when do you know how to make stuff, Danny? You're not exactly the mad scientist type. That's usually your parents, or Sam when she's had too much caffeine. Danny winced. I picked up a few things. Not exactly a lie. He had picked up a few things. From Naruto, who had apparently memorized an entire ninja library of herbal toxins, pressure points, and hand seals while simultaneously being a human glow stick. Tucker's expression shifted from curious to suspicious. So you've been hiding stuff from us? Danny froze. That was the million-dollar question, wasn't it? He wasn't trying to keep secrets. Well, okay, he was. But it wasn't out of malice. It was because Naruto had made him promise. No telling anyone. Not until they were ready. Or at least until Naruto stopped calling everyone brats. Sam noticed the tension and stepped in smoothly, her voice calm. We all have parts of ourselves we don't talk about. That's normal. What matters is that we're trusting each other now. Danny shot her a grateful look. If she ever went into politics, she'd be terrifying. Tucker still didn't look totally convinced, but after a moment, he shrugged. Yeah, okay. Just no more surprise chemical knowledge, alright? And if you secretly have a mech suit stashed in the garage, I want to drive it. No mech suits, Danny said, smiling. Yet. There was a pause. Then Sam smiled too. We'll figure it out. Together. Naruto, inside Danny's head, chuckled. You've got good friends, he murmured, his voice like a breeze on the edge of Danny's thoughts. Keep them close. You'll need them. Danny didn't reply. He just nodded faintly, outwardly calm, inwardly spinning. Because yeah, he had friends. He had a mission. And now he had a team. They weren't perfect. They didn't have a name. But maybe that was okay. For now, they had each other. And maybe that was the first step toward being the heroes they were meant to be. Even if one of them was secretly sharing his soul with a legendary ninja warrior from another dimension. Minor detail. Totally manageable. Probably. So what's our training schedule? Tucker asked, trying to sound enthusiastic, but his voice cracked somewhere around training and schedule, like it had gotten cold feet halfway through. Danny grinned like a man with a secret. Which, in fairness, he absolutely was. We'll start with at least an hour a day, he said, already pacing like a coach who'd watched one too many motivational sports movies. The goal is simple: 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 pull-ups, lift 50 kilos, and run 10 miles every day. The room fell into a stunned silence. Tucker blinked. I'm sorry, did you say 10 miles? Like running? With legs? Sam tilted her head. Pull-ups too? Danny, I can barely do 3 without looking like I'm being attacked by an invisible ghost. I'm built for brains and brooding, Tucker added, gesturing to himself. Not for becoming a protein shake with legs. Danny held up his hands, trying to calm the mutiny. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, we can do it. Sam crossed her arms. Danny, be serious. The human body doesn't adapt that fast. That's superhero-level endurance training. It takes professional athletes years to build that kind of stamina and strength. And they get, like, sponsored vitamins. Danny stood beside the board, posture straight, trying his best to project motivational team leader energy. He failed somewhere between awkward gym teacher and tired raccoon. Still, he gave it his best. I thought it'd be good for us to start with some physical basics. Strength. Endurance. We'll add tactics later. Tucker's hand shot up like they were in class. Yeah, hi, hello, 10 miles? A day? Do you know what happens to my lungs after the stairs, Danny? I go up one flight and start questioning my entire life. Danny gave him a sympathetic wince. I know. It sounds insane, but it's just the starter goal. Starter? Sam repeated, narrowing her eyes. As in, the easy level? Danny hesitated. Yes. Tucker pointed an accusing finger at the board. That is not easy. That is anime protagonist training arc hard. Danny sighed and scratched the back of his head. Okay. Full disclosure, this was suggested by someone with different standards. Inside his mind, Naruto huffed. Different standards? I gave you the toddler version. The kids back home do this before breakfast. The toddlers train in weighted onesies. Danny grimaced. Look, I know human bodies don't adapt this fast. Believe me, I've already had the lecture about muscle recovery and joint strain, and how we'll probably collapse on day 3. Tucker gave him a look. So what, we just die trying? No, Danny said quickly, holding up his hands. That's the part one haven't told you yet. My parents, they've been working on tech that helps the body recover faster. Some gadgets, some serums. Sam squinted. Wait. You're telling me your parents just have performance-enhancing serums lying around the lab? Danny shrugged. They weren't intended for humans. I mean, mostly they were for ghosts, and one time a raccoon they thought was a ghost, but the science checks out. Tucker blinked. So your parents invented a super soldier serum, and you're just casually rolling it into our workout plan like we're not all one bicep curl away from a hernia. Danny smiled sheepishly. Maybe or maybe not. Danny, Sam said, eyes narrowing, you can't drop a maybe when talking about experimental science juice. He threw his hands up. I'm not saying we take it now. We just train with the option to take it if we hit a wall. Besides, the gear can help. My dad's got this exosuit harness that stimulates muscle recovery. Oh my immortal, he's Tony Stark, Tucker muttered. And there's this chamber that blasts your body with low-level ectoradiation for accelerated healing. I think it was originally for ghosts with sprained ectoplasm or something. Sam exchanged a long look with Tucker. So we're turning into paranormal gym rats. I prefer future heroes of justice, Danny said. Naruto's voice echoed in his head, smug and unbothered. You're all soft, but this is a start. With discipline, by 6 months you might be passable. Maybe even mildly threatening. Danny mentally groaned. Remind me why I'm listening to a guy whose warm-ups include dodging shuriken while blindfolded. Because you want to survive, Naruto replied simply. And if you're serious about protecting your friends, you don't get to stay weak. So start running. Anyway, Danny said aloud, I figured we start light. 15 push-ups today. Maybe 5 pull-ups. Walk a mile. We build from there. Tucker sighed in relief. Finally, something reasonable. Danny continued. Then tomorrow, we double it. Tucker let out a dramatic groan and collapsed onto Danny's bed. Why couldn't I have befriended a ghost who was lazy? Sam sat cross-legged on the floor, already pulling out her water bottle and resistance bands like she was Loki into this. Come on. It'll be good for us. Maybe we won't reach ninja toddler levels, but at least we won't be completely helpless. Danny nodded. Exactly. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to get stronger. Together. Tucker groaned again but rolled over and gave a reluctant thumbs up. Fine. But if I die, I'm haunting you. You'd make a terrible ghost, Danny said, grinning. Good, Tucker replied. I'll leave ecto-glitter in your socks. They all laughed, tired, overwhelmed, and slightly terrified of what they'd just agreed to. But it was real. It was happening. The training arc had begun. And somewhere deep inside Danny's soul, Naruto smiled. At least they've got heart, he thought. Now if only they had calves. In which I learned my parents are actual ghost-slaying heroes, dinner is awkward, and Naruto gets deep. You know that moment in a movie where the heroes sit around a campfire, eating canned beans, making s'mores, and laughing before the final boss battle? Yeah, that was us. Except our campfire was a half-eaten bag of veggie chips, Tucker's glowing tech tablet balanced on a shoebox playing lo-fi beats, and Sam low-key judging us both every time we dipped into her organic hummus without asking. Still, it felt like a campfire moment. The kind where you kinda forget that in less than 12 hours, you'll be trying to do things your body was absolutely not designed for, like pull-ups. Which, by the way, are an abomination against gravity. We talked for about an hour. Not about ghosts or missions or Naruto's weird flex about toddler boot camps. Seriously, that guy has a messed up definition of childhood, but about normal stuff. Like what we'd eat if we survived training, spoiler. Tucker voted for chili dogs, Sam threatened to riot, or which Avenger we'd each be, I got Spider-Man, obviously, or what we'd do if one of us actually did gain super strength from this madness. Tucker said he'd use it to carry all his tech gear without back pain. Sam said she'd smash the patriarchy. I said I'd finally move the couch by myself during vacuuming so my mom would stop calling me weak sauce. Laughter echoed around the room, real, belly-aching stuff. For a moment, it didn't feel like we were gearing up for a 2-month death march toward fitness. It just felt like us. Friends. A little older. A little weirder. A lot more determined. Eventually, the snacks ran low, the yawns came in, and the playlist looped back to the first song. We all stood, stretched, which, turns out, is just groaning with extra arm movement, and exchanged those sleepy, see you in the morning unless I die in my sleep kind of goodbyes. That's when Sam leaned in and kissed me. Just like that. No warning. No dramatic slow-mo. Just a quick press of lips to lips, firm, familiar, and definitely better than any hummus. My brain short-circuited. Not because it was the first kiss. We'd kissed before. But because she did it so casually, like we were already a thing, like it was normal. Like we were normal. "Good night, Spider-Man," she whispered. I managed a nod and a strangled yeah. Totally. "Good night, super, girl. Nailed it." She smirked. Tucker gagged dramatically behind her. "Ugh, hormones. I'm going to bed before this becomes a rom-com." I floated, literally floated, back to my room, my feet not touching the floor. Okay, not because I was in love or whatever, I mean, I was, but that's not the point, but because sometimes flying is easier than walking when your legs are jelly from pre-workout squats. Back in my room, I collapsed face first onto my bed, still fully clothed. My arms felt like cooked spaghetti, and my core was already filing a formal complaint with the United Nations. We hadn't even started the real training yet. This had just been the intro session. A warm-up. And my body was already acting like I owed it an apology. I closed my eyes, groaning. "I'm gonna die," I whispered. In the corner of my mind, Naruto laughed. "No, you're just finally living." Easy for him to say. His toddlers probably wrestle wild boars before snack time. But despite the aching muscles, the mild heart attack from the kiss, and the creeping fear that I was about to become some kind of ghost-powered fitness junkie, one thing was clear. We were in this together. We had a goal. A mission. And with friends like Sam and Tucker by my side, maybe, I could survive 10 miles of running without projectile vomiting on someone's lawn. Maybe. There are 3 things you can usually count on in the Fenton household. The food is either amazing or slightly radioactive. Something in the fridge might try to eat you. My parents are loud enough to shatter glass, probably on purpose. So when I heard them hollering, "Danny! Dinner time!" from 3 floors below, I knew 2 things immediately. 1, Mom had probably made meatloaf again. 2, if I didn't respond soon, Dad was going to send the Fenton grappling spoon to yank me out of my room. Unfortunately for them, I was mid-nap, curled up under my covers, drooling a little, dreaming about not dying during tomorrow's workout. But their voices could pierce through walls, dreams, and even the afterlife. Grumbling, I rolled off the bed and floated, dragged myself to the bathroom. Washed my face. Blinked. That's when I saw it. Not in the mirror, but when I glanced downstairs as I headed toward the kitchen, there was this shimmer around them, barely visible. Kind of like heat waves off a grill, or the afterimage you get when you stare at a light too long. It wasn't ghost energy. Not exactly. But it definitely wasn't normal. I stared. That's when Naruto spoke up in my head. That's spiritual residue. You've got the chakra now, you can sense it. They've been near real spirits. Fought them. Oh. Okay. Cool. So apparently my parents weren't exaggerating. They actually fought ghosts. And not just in the oops I tripped over my own gadget again way. Which meant they were heroes. Real ones. Not the punch a villain in the face kind. But the fight creatures from another dimension and still make it home for dinner kind. And I was their son. No pressure. I sat down to eat and immediately regretted it. Not because of the meatloaf, though it did have a suspicious green glow on one corner. No, it was the silence. The kind that builds up in your chest when you suddenly realize you owe someone an apology. And maybe your whole personality. Naruto, of course, picked that moment to drop some ancient ninja dad wisdom. Even if a parent doesn't say it, disrespect from their child cuts deep. You should say something. Be honest. Ugh. Fine. I waited until Dad stopped inhaling meatloaf like a vacuum and Mom finally looked up from her data pad. Hey. Mom? Dad? They paused. Not dramatically, just like, whoa, our son voluntarily initiated conversation. I wanted to say sorry. For the way I've been acting. I thought you were just weird. And over the top. But now I know you guys are the real deal. You're out there fighting things people don't even believe exist. And I never really appreciated that. Mom blinked. Dad paused mid-bite. Yes, he actually paused mid-bite. That's how serious it was. Danny, Mom said gently. We've always known this stuff was real. It's just nice to know you finally believe in us, too. Dad grinned, leaned across the table, and patted my shoulder with his glove still on. We're proud of you, son. Even if you don't have a ghost blaster yet. Yet? I said, just as Naruto snorted in my head. The rest of dinner was actually nice. Calm. Like we were a team instead of 3 people screaming about ectoplasm in different directions. And okay, the meatloaf might have burned a tiny hole through my napkin. But hey, after everything I just learned, radioactive meatloaf didn't even crack the top 10 weird things in my life. So yeah, I guess I'm the son of real-life ghost hunters. You know what's harder than lifting 50 kilograms after doing 100 push-ups? Talking to your parents. Voluntarily. Without being bribed by food. But Naruto had this very strong opinion that went something like, you can't punch your way through life, kid. You need to talk, connect, understand people. That's strength too. Says the guy who once solved an international ninja war with a Rasengan the size of a building. Still, he had a point. If I was going to be a superhuman, or whatever I was slowly turning into, I couldn't just grunt my way through emotional conversations like a socially awkward troll. So that's how I ended up sitting in the living room with my parents, on purpose. They were both on the couch, still in their jumpsuits, goggles pushed up on their heads, and full on we're ready for science mode, which for them is basically their casual Friday look. I cleared my throat. So, can I ask you something about your job? They blinked at me like I had just declared I wanted to join the family business. Which I didn't. Yet. Mom sat forward. Of course, sweetie. What do you want to know? Dad leaned in. Is this about the thermonuclear ghost blender I left on the porch? Because I can explain. No. Not about that. Just, like, how did all of this start? The ghost stuff? Mom's face lit up like she'd been waiting years for someone to ask. Well, it all started back in college. We were young, brilliant, wildly attractive. Modest, I added. And we were working on a project about interdimensional particle behavior, she continued, completely ignoring me. One day, the readings went nuts, and suddenly we were picking up strange energy spikes. Dad jumped in. Spikes that didn't match any known physical model. Naturally, we assumed we'd discovered something groundbreaking. Which we had, Mom added proudly. But not in the way we expected. We were messing with dimensional rifts, and we accidentally opened a small portal. I raised my eyebrows. Wait, you accidentally opened a portal in college? Midterms were a stressful time, she said. Dad chuckled. It was tiny. Barely bigger than a microwave. But something came through. Or maybe just peered through. And then weird things started happening. Shadows moving on their own. Lights flickering. People forgetting entire days. Let me guess, I said, you decided to investigate. Mom nodded. Exactly. We built the first prototype of the ghost goggles to see what was going on. And when we put them on, well, we saw them. Ghosts. Spirits. Entities just drifting around. Some were harmless, Dad said. But others weren't. They were hurting people. Or feeding off them. So we did what any rational scientists would do. We built ghost-fighting gadgets and filed a full report to the Department of Paranormal Research and Containment. I blinked. That's an actual department? Mom smiled. Oh yes. Very hush-hush. They thought we were brilliant. We got official backing, funding, and even helped train hunters who worked for the government. We've been partners ever since. So wait, I said, trying to process, your government researchers? Researchers, yes, Mom confirmed. Not full-time hunters. We usually stay in town, do Pisces, develop tech. But sometimes, well, threats escalate. Like when you disappeared for a month last year? Dad's face darkened a little. Yeah. That wasn't a vacation. That was personal. Mom nodded solemnly. There was a haunted house. Not your average weird noises and floating dishes kind. This one ate people. Lured them in, digested them, left no trace. We'd lost someone close, an old colleague. And we had a score to settle, Dad finished. Took us weeks to get inside, figure out the pattern, and neutralize the core entity. But we did. And we made sure no one else would ever get taken. I was silent for a second. The words "my parents are heroes" echoed in my head again. And not in the "they make a great lunchbox" kind of way. But like, actual fought an evil house and one kind of way. Told you, Naruto murmured in my head. Now you understand what kind of legacy you're stepping into. Wow, I said quietly. I thought you were just eccentric. I didn't realize. Mom smiled gently. We know, Danny. And we don't expect you to follow in our footsteps. But it means a lot to us that you care. I nodded slowly. I do. And I'm sorry I've been so. I don't know. Rude. Disconnected. Dad grinned. Son, you're a teenager. That's practically your job description. I laughed. Then Mom pulled me into a hug that smelled like ozone and coffee and maybe a hint of ghost goo. Thanks for talking to us, Danny, she said softly. Naruto whispered one last thing before I headed to bed. Well done. You're learning how to be strong, where it counts. And for once, I felt like I actually was. Even if I still couldn't do more than 10 push-ups without sounding like a dying seal. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.